I don't know about you, but I got a lot of 2019 vibes with the Patriots from Tom Brady last night. And, if you don't remember 2019, that was the year that the Patriots started off like a house of fire, undefeated through midseason, and then struggled, stumbled, limped to the finish line and lost a home game in the first game of the playoffs to the Tennessee Titans, and Brady threw the pick six to Logan Ryan to end the game. And the reason I say that Brady reminds me of that is that it was after that game that most people said, well, Brady is either done or he's done in New England. And he wasn't done, but he was done in New England. And now I'm sure people are going to be saying the same thing about Brady.
And it was those 2019 Patriots that started off, Peter, 8-0 until they ran into Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens. And last night it was Tom Brady and the Patriots. Hey, 3 years later, it's still hard to separate the two.
Yeah, you still
Tom
do
Brady
it, don't you?
And the Buccaneers ended up facing Lamar Jackson, and far different circumstances than 8-0. They were 3-4 entering this game. They had lost 4 out of 5. Could have been 5 in a row. That very questionable roughing the passer call against Grady Jarrett took away the opportunity for the Falcons to come back and win the one game the Buccaneers have won since starting 2-0. And it looked at first, Peter, as if the Buccaneers were figuring it out. They're up 10-3. They were having the better of the play. The Ravens were sluggish. The Buccaneers were looking the way we thought they were going to look all year, the way they'd looked the year before and the year before that. And the Ravens just kind of systematically stuck with their plan, and it started to work, and they just wore down the Tampa Bay defense. That was a key. For all the failings of the Baltimore defense in the fourth quarter, the double-digit leads they've surrendered, and it could have happened again last night. Double-digit lead, 24-13. Uh-oh, what is the Ravens defense going to do now? The key is the offense needs to do its job. The offense needs to score when it has the opportunity. When it was 21-13, no, not 21-13, it was 17-13. Field goal makes it 20-13, still has a different vibe, one score. You get the touchdown instead of the field goal, different vibe. The Ravens' offense came through last night in a way that made it easier for the defense, because the defense still wasn't clamping down on the Buccaneers. Tom Brady was moving the ball down the field, and he still has that element to him, that urgency to him when he's behind late and there's still a window of opportunity. There's a lot of quarterbacks that don't kind of focus in the way he does, and everything around him shuts out, and he knows, I've been here before, I've done this before. We don't see that a lot in today's NFL. We see it from him. But the Ravens defense just did enough to hold off what would have been an incredible comeback. For a while, I'm thinking, are we going to go to overtime? Are they going to really do this? I mean, Tom Brady still has enough left that he can convince you there's a chance.
And, Brady was not feeble last night, but, the problem that the Bucs have is that they just don't have enough, I don't even want to say weapons. They don't have enough alternatives on offense right now to scare anybody. That plus the fact that, the offensive line, you can say whatever you want. You can question Brady, and, man, he's showing his age. Hey, he never gets out of the way. He never, there's nothing rare about him getting sacked. There is a tangible difference this year in how Tom Brady is getting hit in the pocket and how he's getting forced to throw in uncomfortable ways from his past couple of years in Tampa. There's just no way around it. And so that's why, to me, the biggest thing, I'm not saying the die was cast when he lost his 2 guards, and then on the second day of training camp, Ryan Jensen went out, perhaps for the year, who knows. But, you know, that they just have not been able to overcome that. When you have a totally immobile quarterback who is making decisions fast. I thought Amazon did a good job last night in talking about the fact that Brady is getting rid of the ball as fast as he ever has in his career this year. And last night it was even a tenth of a second faster. So it's clear coming into this game that Byron Leftwich and Tom Brady had a little skull session at some point in the last few days, and agreed that, hey, I know we're throwing the ball way too fast, and I don't have enough time to see all my options, but we got to even throw it faster now, and that obviously played into the hands of the Ravens. And Mike, the other thing is, again, I think Leonard Fournette has been a really good player for this team, an unexpectedly good player for this team. He loves playing with Brady, helped him win a Super Bowl, all that. But the bottom line is, if he's averaging in the twos, which he did again last night, the running game is just simply not going to work.
He had 9 carries for 24 yards and a touchdown last night, but you're right, that's not good enough. They need more of a running game to keep the defense off balance so they can make the passing game go. Remember when Tom Brady went to Tampa Bay, the question was, how is Brady and his mobility or lack thereof going to mesh with the Bruce Arians, no risk it, no biscuit, hold the ball a little bit longer so something down the field pops open. And you still see Brady uncork the deep ball every once in a while, and he still has it, although a couple of them last night were underthrown. There was one throw to Mike Evans down the left sideline, and Kirk Herbstreit said the defensive back did a good job of catching up. The reason he caught up is the ball was underthrown. There was a deep ball to Scotty Miller that drew an interference flag. Scotty Miller sighting. I don't know what happened to that guy. He shows up last night with a deep ball, and it's underthrown, and the defensive back hits him, and it's a long pass interference foul. So, Brady still has it. This is the one that was underthrown to Mike Evans, where the defensive back caught up because the ball was underthrown. But he's still got his arm. You hit the nail on the head with the mobility. And you see him from time to time moving around in the pocket, stepping up. It's the old Tom Brady, that just kind of magician of sliding around and finding time. But, he had some misfires too. There could have been multiple interceptions in the end zone, dropped picks. It was like the Steelers on Sunday night. They could have closed the door on Tom Brady and the Buccaneers. The Ravens could have several times and blew those opportunities. But still, I want to say this because, it's funny. My wife and I were talking about the game last night. And I was rattling off all the stats. Brady's 2 games under 500 for the first time in his career. Never even 3 games under 500. Amazing. 2 games under 500 for the first time in his career. Are you kidding me? 3 straight losses for the first time since 2002. In 20 years, he hasn't lost 3 straight games. And for the first time in his career, he's lost 5 of 6. And I was rattling all this off to my wife, and she said he's still Tom Brady. And that's the thing we have to remember here. And Peter, I think it's dangerous to write off the Buccaneers. They're in the worst division right now in football based upon wins and losses. So they're still the favorite to win that division. I think whoever wins the Panthers-Falcons game on Sunday is going to be sitting in pretty good position to compete with them. But I'd still pick the Bucs out of the other 3 teams. And so you're the 4 seed. Well, they won the Super Bowl as the 5 seed. Once you get to single elimination time, that's when Tom Brady has an edge over Jalen Hurts, over Dak Prescott, over any other quarterback he's going to face. Because he's been there, he's done that, and he's not freaked out by the moment. And he still has that voice and authority in the locker room that he can help his teammates not be freaked out by the moment too. And if they just get in, I'm not going to rule out the possibility of the Buccaneers getting hot in January. So all this stuff now, it makes for an interesting season because we're not used to it. But Everything they want to do is still in front of them. And I saw enough flashes of it last night. Not nearly enough to be successful when January rolls around. They got work to do. But there's enough flashes of it last night to tell me that it's still there if they can figure out how to make that happen more often.
Mike, you talk about the Carolina Panthers and the Atlanta Falcons. And to me, the amazing thing about the NFC South right now is that 1 week ago today, when we were doing this show, the Carolina Panthers had the first pick in the draft. If the season ended after 6 weeks, they'd have had the first pick in the draft. On Sunday, they will play to take the lead in the NFC South. And a lot of people will say, well, wait a second, they're only tied for it. Wait a minute. If they win this game on Sunday, if they beat Atlanta, they're 3-0 in division games. And so that would put them atop the division. They'd be 3-5, but they'd be 3-0 in division games. So that's how crazy this is. And you and I probably still think, if we had to bet right now, will the Carolina Panthers have a top 5 pick in the NFL next April, in the NFL draft next April? I would bet yes. You probably would too. But whatever, that's how crazy it is. They've gone from the first pick in the draft to a win gives them first place in one of the worst divisions we've seen in a long time.
And if the Saints happen to beat the Raiders on Sunday and the Panthers do beat the Falcons, all 4 teams will be 3-5 through 8 games. And that's one of the things that, as a fan, I love about this season, because you never know what's going to happen. But the one trend that is sticking is the Buccaneers are struggling. Here's Tom Brady from after last night's game talking about whether or not there's time to turn things around in Tampa.
Do you feel that there's still enough time to turn this thing around? Is there a quick fix?
I mean, we've got to go earn it. We've got to go, I don't think you can, erase what happened the last 8 weeks. We got to dig deep, see what we're all about, come to work, try to improve, and like I said, give ourselves a better chance to win.
He was robotic and perfunctory in his post-game press conference. I saw Rick Stroud of the Tampa Bay Times report that Tom Brady spent a long time just kind of sitting there, staring straight ahead, David Putty style, in the locker room after the game. It's got to be tough for him. He's not used to this. And we know all of the other stuff that's going on and all of the strange things that have happened and the very uncharacteristic Tom Brady behaviors, the 11-day absence in training camp, going to Robert Kraft's wedding 2 weeks ago today on a Friday night and not rejoining his team for Saturday walkthrough and meeting up with them in Pittsburgh instead, and they lost to the Steelers as 9.5-point favorites. There's still, Peter, Tom Brady. As my wife said, he's still Tom Brady. And I am not going to rule out them finding a way. But it really is. It's not quite Willie Mays, but it's hard to watch, especially when he tries to run. There was that play where he tried to scramble last night. And I've said for the past 5 years, it looks like a slow-motion NFL Films highlight that should be narrated by John Facenda anytime Tom Brady tries to run. But it was even more noticeable last night when he tried to pull the ball down and take off. I mean, the guy's clearly 45. He got hit a lot last night, too. He's going to be feeling it this morning more than he ever has before in his life.
I'm sure he is, Mike, but I don't think he looks any different, really, than he looked when he was 25. He couldn't run then either. And it was all about moving in the pocket, laterally especially, and just getting out of the way of the rush. But he's never been a guy who's going to scramble. I found myself thinking, watching that game last night, and I'm really, really thinking that it really reminded me a lot of that Tennessee playoff game, 3 years ago. The reason it did is because that night the Patriots could get nothing consistently going. They'd move the ball a little bit, but it was always stop and start, stop and start. And that's why, to me, when I look at this team right now, I think two things have to happen with Tampa. Number one, look, I understand their defense was on the field a lot last night. They were a paper-mache defense in the second half of this game. And I understand they're not getting any help from the offense. I get it. But, you saw one time yesterday, the announcers pointed out, I think it was Al, pointed out that Devin White was Defensive Player of the Month in September. He won't be Defensive Player of the Month after that game last night, I'll tell you that much. Their linebacker play last night on the second level, they gave up so many runs. And Mike, listen, normally you say, well, the Ravens, they will run the ball as well as Lamar Jackson runs it. Non-Lamar Jackson rushes last night, 188 yards. And so that's why, to me, we are going to spend 97% of our time about the Bucs talking about Brady. I get it. But, man, that defense let him down in a big way last night.
Yeah, 65 yards for Gus Edwards in his second game back from last year's absence due to injury. Kenyon Drake was 62, Justice Hill with 28. Devin Duvernay had a couple of runs for 33 yards. And Lamar Jackson only, as if that's a knock, but it's not, 43 yards. We're just used to more in the running game from Lamar Jackson. But this is what we've been saying the Ravens need to do. They need more guys to step up in the running game, and they have, even with J.K. Dobbins on injured reserve, possibly coming back later in the year, which would make them even more dangerous. With Dobbins and Edwards and Drake and Hill, they could become even more dangerous offensively. Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.